Sell what your customers want to buy. That is the basic rule for every beginner in business. Now, the lifeline of every business is sales and profit. If your customers are not buying, you are not making sales. Now, if you are not making sales, you can't make profit. If you are not making profit, what then is the essence of starting and having a business, right? If you want to start a business, a product based business, and you are a beginner, meaning that it's your first time starting a business, right? You don't have any experience in running a business, starting and running a business, and you have very little capital and you don't have a lot of human resources. Majorly, you are the only staff in the business. You are the founder and the only staff, right? It's a really small scale business where it's a one man business. You are the founder, you are the accountant, you are the everything in the business, right? It's your first time and you have very little capital. The best advice you can get is to sell something that people already want to buy, something that already has a buying audience, something that already has a market, something that people already want to buy. Now, some people would say, start the business, then figure out your customers. But if you don't have capital, but most of the time, right? Sorry, most of the time, for really small scale businesses, one man businesses, the major reason for starting the business is to make profits, right? To survive. The business is for survival, meaning that you cannot afford to start a business that doesn't make sales for like 3 months, even 1 month. You can't afford that, right? Because your survival depends on the profitability of the business, right? So it is advisable to start a business where you already have customers. A business already has a buying audience, right? This is not the time to start the business, then figure out the customers. The best approach is to start a business that already has customers, right? Now, the first thing you're going to think of is what are the things that people around you, or depends on where you want to set up the business. If it's a product based business that is online, then you should be looking at what do you think or what have you seen, because now you must do your research before starting the business. So you will be looking at what are people buying, right? The people that you feel you want to sell to, what are they spending most of their money on? If you're if you're a young person, let's say you're a female in her 20s, what are your age mates, your friends, what are they buying? You'll be looking at clothing, cosmetics, beauty products, hair, right? Human hair, wigs, right? Those are the things that you'll be looking at, because those are the things that people in your demographic spend most of their money on, right? If you are a guy, probably in his 30s, what do you think people are buying more of? If you want to start an online business now, what are the people that you interact with, people that you see online, right? What are they buying more of? If you have a lot of people around you that are interested in cars, then you might want to start a car business. But if you're starting a car business, you're not starting a car business with your capital, right? We'll get back to that. So now moving on, if you are starting a brick and mortar business, right, you should be looking at what's the area that you want to set up your store, right, your brick and mortar store. What do people buy most in that area? That's what you should be looking at. For example, you want to set up your brick and mortar store, probably just a small shop, because now we are assuming that you have very little capital, right? So if you want to set up your small brick and mortar store in a busy market, what are the things that people buy most around that area that you want to set up your brick and mortar store? Now, some of the few things that I have noticed that people buy a lot when they are in the market is one, drinking water, right? Especially during hot weather, during like when it's really hot. People buy drinking water a lot, a whole lot, either sachet water or bottled water. People buy that a lot. And also clothing. People buy clothing a lot in the market, right? It depends on what side of the market you are. There are so many things that people come to the market to buy. So if you want to sell, probably you want to sell building materials or you want to sell this and that. Now you're looking at capital, so you're also considering the items that are cheaper to buy, right? You don't want to buy the items that are so very expensive that you because you're also looking at quantity. For example, if you have a certain amount, there are items that with a certain amount you can buy 200 pieces. It's better to go for that kind of business than to buy the ones that with a certain amount you can only buy like 10 pieces, right? Because you're also looking at profitability, right? So moving on, you also want to buy the items in a limited quantity. Now, let me explain. For example, you go into footwear business. Now, footwear is a very broad business because there's so many different types of footwear. There's sportswear, there's heels for ladies, there's sandals, there's corporate wear, there's casual wear, there's like bathroom slippers. So there are so many different aspects of footwear, right? Now, it would not be beneficial to you in the long run to spend all your money to buy a certain part of the footwear. Like, for example, you spend like 50% of your capital for the business to buy sportswear, and then you open up your brick and mortar store or you start your online business and you start to market, and then you realize that most of your customers actually want like loungewear kind of footwear. They want slippers, they want sandals, they don't want sportswear. You are not getting sportswear customers, but the people that you stocked up for now ends up not being your buying audience, right? Do you understand? It is best to buy a variety of different footwear in limited quantity because when your customers begin to come into your store, you then begin to know what and what they really want. But starting out the business, your intended market audience, right? Your intended customers may not really end up being the people that come to buy from you. For example, you have a neighbor, a maker. A maker sells footwear, and a maker's best selling footwear is red sandals. That is a maker's best selling footwear. Now, you are a maker's neighbor. We will call you Chukunonso. So now you sit down in your shop every day and you notice that all the maker's customers, they are coming and they're asking for the same red sandals over and over again. So you assume that that's what people want, and then you go and stock your shop with red sandals. But now, when your own customers begin to come, it is that lemon slippers you have that your own customers want to be buying. But you already stocked your shop up with red sandals, right? Because you're looking at a maker. Now, the point is, everybody's customers are different. What my customers may like is completely different from what your own customers would want and would like. That is where your unique selling point comes into play. What I sell, we may both of us are selling the same footwear, right? But the kind of footwear that my customers want from me is different from the kind of footwear that your own customers want from you. So you cannot be looking at my own customers to stock up your shop. You cannot be looking at what my customers demand from me to sell your own market. You have to sell what your own customers want. That's it. You have to sell what your customers are demanding, not what you think they want, not what you assume they want, but what they demand from you. What they buy the most, what they request for the most is what you should be selling. For anyone that has a business, a variety-based business, let's assume you sell kitchenware, you have 10 different products, 10 different items under the kitchenware. Maybe you have pots, you have pans, you have cutleries, you have different type of kitchen utensils. You would notice that there are a particular two or a select three that customers buy often. Customers buy the most. In a month, you sell more of those two or three items than you do the other items that you have in stock, right? If you are keeping records as a business owner, you should know that there are select items that customers request or demand for the most. Any type of business you're in, even if you're selling cars, you would know that there's a particular brand of car, that a particular model that your customers demand and request for the most, right? And that is unique to you. That is unique to your own business. Two people might be selling the same um two people might be selling the same kind of items, right? Maybe they both sell clothes. Maybe they both sell clothes, but the customer of this person may be requesting for corporate wear more, and then the customers of this other person may be requesting for party wears more, right? So you have to stock what your own customers want. The kind of goods that you stock up in your shop, or the kind of goods that you buy more of, is what your customers want. So you have to be willing to sit and listen to what your customers are demanding for. Earlier, I mentioned figuring out your customers before you start, but the reality of the matter is that you can figure out your customers before you start, and then when you eventually start the business, you realize that the people that you thought were your customers are not really your customers. Your target audience is different from people that actually come to buy from you. For example, Ngozi starts a business for beddings and curtains. Ngozi's major target market is people that want to buy beddings, but she just adds the curtains as, like a side hustle, so that the shop will not be empty, just to fill up space, right? But as Ngozi begins to sell year in, year out, she begins to realize that the people that come into her shop want to buy more of the curtains than they want to buy beddings. So over time, the wise thing for Ngozi to do is to expand more on the cotton business, because that is what our customers are requesting for. It doesn't matter whether her passion is in beddings, right? It doesn't matter whether she likes to sell bed sheets, bedspreads, whether that's what she really loves. The fact of the matter is that what our customers are requesting for is what she's going to expand her business on. That's it. Now, moving on, how do really small businesses make money? How really small businesses make money is a bit different from how large companies or medium to large scale companies make money. Now, really small businesses, all these one man businesses, really small businesses make money from turnover. And what is turnover? Turnover is the accumulated profits on selling a sizable number of goods. For example, now as a medium scale business, your profit on each item might be 1,000 naira, right? So in a day, if you sell to 5 persons, in a day you've made 5,000 naira. But really small scale businesses, right? Really high demand businesses, like really small scale businesses in high demand, they actually have a lot more customers per day than most medium sized businesses. For example, people that sell sachet water, right? People buy more sachet water in a day than they buy clothes, realistically, right? If you have a clothing store, someone that sells sachet water by the roadside will definitely get more customers in a day than you that sells clothes. So the person that sells sachet water is not making 1,000 naira per sachet water, right? Their profit is probably, let's say, 25 naira per sachet water that they sell, right? But they're looking at the turnover, they're looking at the accumulated profits on selling maybe 10 to 20 bags in a day, right? Especially if you're in a busy area like a market and it's a hot season, right? People are sweating, they're working in the market, so they tend to buy a lot of drinking water throughout the day. So you're looking at your accumulated profit over 10 to 20 bags. Sometimes it can even be as high as maybe 40 bags in a day, right? So the profit that a small business would even make in a day might be more than what the medium scale person is making in a day. If you listen to people that have expanded on their petty business, right, they tell you that there's a lot of money in that. There's a lot of money in selling sachet water. There's a lot of money in selling these little things that people sell by the roadside, right? But they don't make so much profit per sale. They calculate their profits based on turnover, on the overall sales in a day or the overall sale in a week. But you as a medium size business, you'll be calculating your profits per item sold, right? Or per customer head, right? Per sale. You can be calculating your profits per sale. But these really small scale businesses calculate their profits in turnover, which is the accumulated profits in a day or in a week. So this video is this video is just targeted at people who are beginners in business, right? Who are starting their business newly and they have very little capital. The best advice you can get is to sell something that is already in high demand, something that already has a buying audience. That is honestly the best advice. Because if you're starting a business for the first time with very little capital and you know that it's a one-man business and you know that you are depending on that business for survival, so the profit that you make on that business every day is what you're using to survive, right? The best thing you can do is to start a business that is already in high demand, something that people around you are already buying. You don't need to look for your customers. Your customers are already looking for that item, so they will definitely patronize you. Like a food business, if you're selling snacks, people eat every day, right? Especially if the snacks are affordable, if the food is affordable, people already want to buy what you are selling, right? So you don't need to struggle for customers and you are rest assured that you're going to make sales every day. So my honest advice is that that is the kind of business that you should be looking at starting. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, contributions, you can just leave it in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like my video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.